first impression when I think back on the very first time I met her was on my album. It'd be The Garden of Love Light in '76. Her mom was brought in, Cissy Houston was brought in by our producer Tommy Dowd and her singers to sing on my song called The Garden of Love Light. This would be at Atlantic Studios in New York City. And in the corner sat a little 11-year-old girl. That was Whitney. That was the daughter of Cissy. And I didn't know that was going to be the great Whitney Houston, but I sure knew she was gorgeous. As 11 years old, just beautiful angel. Watching the sessions, sitting very patiently watching. Clive Davis gives me a phone call and says, meet him at the Beverly Hills Hotel in his bungalow, where he would often play us his music that he was choosing, because he was really keen on choosing the material. So when I went there this time, he says, sit down, I've got about maybe 6 songs, 5, 6 songs to play for you that I'm choosing out for Whitney's second album. Now this is very big because now she's already huge. So he plays me the demo of I Want to Dance With Somebody Who Loves Me. And I'm listening to it like, wow, yeah. These are the same writers, George Merrill and Shady Ruben McCam, who composed How I Know with us. And, you know, they had the really sweet flavor in the hook, a lot of pop vibe in the hook. Now my brain started cooking on how I can make it sound more urban. And then I make a time for her to come to this studio, where she sings in this spot right here we call the Vortex, on this microphone. And when she comes here, she's a bit exhausted because she'd been like on a whirlwind tour around the world and everywhere at the same time. So she doesn't really know the songs that Clive has chosen for her yet. Unlike How Will I Know. She says, but I do know the song called For the Love of You by the Isley Brothers. I said, well, let's start with that one. So we start with For the Love of You. And what's beautiful about that song, there are a lot of beautiful background parts. So then we took time with Whitney to have her stack her own voice. 40 voices on this side, 40 voices on this side, and combine all the sound. So when she would hear it back, she would hear the sound of her own voice like angels, stacked beautifully. And that gave her rejuvenation and inspiration. Like, I'd never heard my voice stacked that many times. And it was beautiful. So then from that experience, we flew into the next day of I Want to Dance With Somebody Who Loves Me. Now she's rejuvenated. On this great microphone, we just kind of had to teach her the song. She had to really know it. Go through the verse a few times. Go through the second verse a few times. Go through the chorus. Go through it, kind of learn it. And then let's just spend time on the outro. Because I know when I get Whitney's like a racehorse. Open up. And when she did, on the ending, you start hearing her going to, say you want to dance, don't you want to dance, don't you want to dance, dance. Don't you want to dance, say you want to dance. All that started pouring out of her. Because now she's getting the fever with it. She's getting excited about it. And I'm saying, we're keeping that. That's part of the record here. We're going to keep that. Let's stack it up with some background singers. That's incredible. Now let's go back and redo the verses and get everything tight. And we did. Then she was tired. She went home. I stayed all night that night and put that record together so that when she comes the next day here, I can say, sit down. Hit play. On comes the giant sound of that record, sounding finished. And she's like, oh, it's a hit. I said, yeah, it's a smash. All we wanted to add a little more harmony on this one thing here. One little harmony right there. It's done. She couldn't believe it. Now she's really excited. So then we can get into like a hard song for her, like, Where Do Broken Hearts Go? She's like, oh my God, it's gonna be a hard song. I said, no, just listen to what I've done with it. I made it for you now. It's a new track, very sounding for you. And we're gonna lower the lights in the studio, put blue lights on, put a few candles around, so you can kind of get in the mode of like having a broken heart. And she did. And that was probably the hardest song because she had to really kind of get into this mode of like, my heart has been broken. And that's why that song sounds so beautiful, number one, tenderness, because she really got into the emotion of it. Where do broken hearts go? On the song from Broadway, the Broadway play Chess, Clive, his genius brain, soul, spirit, He loved that play and loved the song called I Know Him So Well. And he said, Narada, take this song and put it on the second album. Produce it. So we had to really think about how to make that Broadway sound right for Whitney's album. And we made it a duet with Whitney and the mom, Sissy. So here in this studio, we have them both singing, and Whitney on the playback was like, is that me or is that my mother? Is that my mother or is that me? The sounds were so identical on certain spots that she had a hard time picking out her own voice. That was really cool to watch. And they went so high together on the ending. I mean, like phenomenal range. And Sissy was just doing it. And so I'm very, very proud of that moment of my life. Taking that song that Clive gave us from Chess and weaving it into the fabric of her second album. Really incredible. Really incredible. After we cut those 6 songs that Clive first picked out, I went to Clive's office. And in his office, he then handed me a cassette and played me a song called So Emotional. And it was a strong song. I could see why he loved it. But again, my brain's clicking on what I can bring to it to make it like have the muscle it needed for a Whitney Houston #1 record. But Clive's smart. He chose me because he knows I'm going to bring the muscle, man. I'm going to bring the muscle. And so we're looking at each other. He's playing this record, kind of like looking at each other. He says, if you do this record, I know it'll be #1. I go, okay. I really like his confidence about it, you know? So then I leave New York. I come back to the studio. And I get my team of Randy Jackson on the bass. And there's a gentleman named Bongo Bob. And Bongo Bob had this fantastic drum machine that we could program all kind of sound effects in the machine and have it play back how we program it. Like I could take metal pipes banging, clang, clang, program in the thing and play the clanging part of the drum groove. I could take foot stomps. I could take anything I want and program part of it and make that massive sound, which is like daunting. That's what I wanted for So Emotional. For it to be like, just like metal rock meets Whitney Houston. Boom. So it's really rock. It's really Whitney's step into rock, man. Like Metallica and Whitney. That's what it is. And I gave my team full permission to go there, and we did. The drum, really intense and aggressive. And when I went back to New York and played the track, she's like, whoa! And she sang it like that. She brings that Tina Turner vibe. She's bringing the rock and roll vibe. And she's just going for it. She's going for it so intently. Guess who walks in the front door, who wants to come in the studio to right track and hear the playback? It's Mick Jagger. There he is, dancing around to So Emotional. I get so emotional, baby. The whole room is just dancing. He's dancing, she's dancing, and it's rock. And it's like, wow. Yeah, and Clive was right. It's a #1 record. We all know it. It's going to be a #1 record. I can't wait to package it up. The next day, go to Clive's office and hand it to him and stand over his desk and look at him while he's listening to the playback because I'm that proud of it. And he's listening to it, and I'm like, you were right. You were right. And God bless us, man. We got another #1 record on So Emotional. Gorgeous. And we also made a great video, too. A fantastic video with myself playing the drums, Gigi Ganaway on percussion, T.M. Stevens playing bass, Ice Black guitar, Whitney doing her thing, massive audience out in New Jersey somewhere. Oh, we had a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I have many favorite memories. I have many favorite memories of her laughter, her sweet laughter, her innocent laughter, and her wittiness. You know, she could be very insightful about life. And also very spiritual. We would want to pray before the session. We'd talk to Jesus before the session. We'd ask God to come in the session. And I loved that about her. Always open to the spirituality of the moment. I also had private time with her to get warmed up. We might go to the piano, play Walk On By. Her Aunt Dionne Warwick's music. Or play Alfie, sing Alfie. Those quiet moments will get us ready for that day of recording. And that's when we should really open our heart and kind of relax and take in what she needed energy-wise for that recording. recording. Because don't forget, that microphone's very unforgiving. We want to like give it everything we have so the recording will last forever. And she was very much aware of that. But the beauty of her, I want to say, is her confidence. She loved the sound that came out of her. So, unlike a lot of singers, she'd be easy to record because she loved her sound. And she was have fun with her sound. Then I realized there's different gears. I'd have her sing with a chest voice, sing with a head voice, sing with a middle voice, sing where you're going to go and use all three of your ranges on one line, and she could do that too. So I'd have fun. That way it gave me chances to get the right coloration for the song and the reading for a hit. Those are my favorite things about her. How willing she was to work hard to give me what I needed for the hit record. On a tender note, my very personal note, on the third album, she was going through a little depression. There was some sadness that came in. Not just being tired, but the heart was sad. And I had produced a record on my dear friend Eddie Murphy. And when I got with Whitney in New York, I said, well, what's going on? She says, oh, I'm kind of going through a little heartbreak. I said, well, what is it? She said, well, Eddie and I are kind of breaking up. I said, oh, okay. And I kind of joked with her. I said, we don't even go and kick his ass. Because she knew I knew him. And she looked at me like, you do love me. I said, of course I love you. Had nothing to do with the #1 records. That meant more to her, and that moment between us, probably than any other moment, that I would be there for her as her friend. Whitney has a wonderful sense of humor, and because of it, I would give her gifts every time I'd see her. And she would say to me, you're the most gift-givingest man. I said, what? She said, you're the most gift-givingest man. I said, I like that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then one day, I gave her this teddy bear, but the teddy bear wasn't just any teddy bear. It was a talking teddy bear. So what I would do is I'd take a little cassette machine, and I could pre-record on the tape this spoken thing to her. Well, oh girl, you so fine, you so fine. I go on and on for like half an hour talking stuff. Pop in the back of the bear, and when you turn the bear on, you can make it talk fast or talk slow. But it'd be talking like a lot of kind of off the wall gibberish. That cracked her up the most. This bear that could just talk and go on and on about how fine she was, girl, I love you, you love me, all that. This bear in my mouth is talking, carrying on. That really cracked her up. So she had a wonderful sense of humor. No, I think I don't live my life in any kind of regret about the music, because at the time we really are preying on it and we really are doing our very best. And so I exercise all the options when I'm making those records. I'm trying this, I'm trying that, I'm trying things, and then that way we get to the right conclusion for what we think can last forever. And also in the comping of her voice, think about that. She's giving you 10 different Whitney Houston tracks. When she leaves, then you're picking between what's the best out of those 10 Whitney Houston tracks for this record. Think how daunting that is. But guess what I do? I just say, choosing is confusing. What's going to live forever? Oh, that one's fantastic. That's fantastic. Just sew them together. Oh, no, that's genius. Gotta have that. Oh, that's genius. So I kind of go by my gut. Because you can really get confused by all of it. But you just go by what you just are taken by at the moment. What's going to sound good forever and ever and ever. Ask God, what's going to sound good, Lord? There it is. It just seamlessly kind of comes together. You work on it, it comes together. So I don't have any regret about the music, ever. I know at the time, I'm doing my very best. She's doing her very best. And I would ask her things like this. I would say, you did such a massive outcome on the first album when you broke on the scene. Do you have any kind of sophomore jinx in you right now on the second album? And she would say, no. If they loved me the first time, they'll love me now. And I was like, you're so refreshing. And then I had no fear, because she had no fear. We had fun. Just jump in the pool and swim. So that's what it is. So just to get back to your question, do I have any regret or would I do anything differently? No. It's all the way it's meant to be, and I wouldn't change a thing. My production process is to get the baddest cats to cut the smash. Find the smash, whatever the smash is, if it's a Clive smash, if it's our smash, whatever it is. If it's a Preston Glass smash, like Love is a Contact Sport. Whatever it is, get with that song and make the bottom the outhouse. Always think about, see, I come from Kalamazoo, Michigan. On the north side of Kalamazoo, Michigan, is a club called The Post. In The Post, people come who are the everyday workers. Maybe a girl's got a little hole in that one. You know, maybe the guy wants a little shot of bourbon. So I always think about that kind of situation and that jukebox in the corner. And what's going to sound fantastic in The Post on that jukebox in the corner. So my production process is very much The Post. What's going to sound good with the people? Because I know we can make that top end glorious, beautiful. It's Whitney, it's going to be gorgeous. Bring a little string if you want to, background vocal. But is that bottom enough to capture the hard-working woman, hard-working man? You got to really make sure you get that person. That's my process, always. And what do I do to capture it? We work hard. We make what's called a blueprint. I'll cut the song exactly how I want it. I'll bring in a singer, have her sing it like Whitney, how I want Whitney to sing, exactly. Put the background vocals, how I think it should be, exactly. I'll make a full-on finished record. So when Whitney hears it, she goes, oh, I get what you're doing. So then she can go in and bring herself to it, and if we need anything, I can kind of refer back to what I've kind of already worked out. But if not, she's bringing something fresh, that's genius. So it really is about being prepared. It really is. Then she can be at ease about it. I can be at ease about it. The preparation is really important. I learned that from Quincy Jones. Because Quincy Jones would say when he worked with Steven Spielberg on movies like The Color Purple, they'd make small models of the movie. So they could almost like see the whole thing, how they wanted it to come down by these small models. That's very much what we do in music. We make the small model that then becomes the big record. Whitney's recording process with us is really just to come in and get relaxed. Because like I said, people don't understand. Whitney lived at rarefied air. There were only a few who ever lived at that kind of air. Meaning, when the 80s and 90s all that is kicked off, we could be everywhere at the same time. All the countries we want to do at the same time. Michael Jackson, Madonna, Prince. That kind of echelon. You know, all TV shows. All countries. Everybody's going crazy. Concerts. You can get exhausted if you wouldn't know how to navigate because it's all brand new. So when I would get with her, I knew she'd be tired. I knew I'd only have 3 hours. Every song I ever do with Whitney would be 3 hours, no more than that. So we go to the piano again, sing a little something. Could be a spiritual, could be a song for the Lord, could be a Dion thing, whatever. Kind of get warmed up. To drink your nice tea, get relaxed. Let me show you the song. You know, and normally I always start on the ending. Get the ending where you want to just like go crazy on a theme. Just wear out the end and get your endorphins kicked in. Like you're running. Oh, I feel good. Oh my God, that's the ending. The ending's done. Now, let's put on our analytical hat and go to the first verse and just nail those melodies. Don't do too much with it. Just welcome me in the song. Try it with your head voice, your really angelic voice. Try it with your chest voice. Try mixing those voices. Second verse, same kind of thing. First chorus, second chorus, just kind of going into it and put things together like that. That way she could kind of just really bring herself. Then now you know you all in parts, sing all the way through. Do that a few more times, and we have a great session that I can then work from and put things together later. So I always try not to ever tax her too much because I knew she was under a great strain of just her life. So that's really our production way of working and her singing is get her to do all the great high stuff first. In other words, if you go mental on the stuff too early on, you can pour water on the spirit. And then when you want the spirit, it's tired. So I knew that about her. She's a Leo, fire of the heart. Get all that fire first. Whitney changed my career because we had huge success with the first single. I Want to Dance With Loves Me. I remember when they brought the video in here. on the big screen there. And the playback of the sound, just incredible. The visual of her with the sound was going to be like, just like, you know, jaw-dropping. How beautiful she is. It changed my life, of course, because it was a success and its power. It brought happiness to people and joy, delight. You know, people needed to feel good. Well, that did it. It made everybody feel good, and they could dance and party every night, every day for forever. Still dancing and partying to that song. On the album would be For the Love of You, for all the people who love the Isley Brothers. But on the album would be Her and Her Sissy. I know him so well. On the album would be Where Broken Hearts Go, another #1 record, to touch all the lonely hearts in the world and give medicine to that. On the album would be So Emotional, with all that rock and roll coming at you. On that same album would be my favorite is Just a Lonely Talking Again. And when Clyde gave me that song, he said, make this like a saloon singer. And in my brain, I go back to like Bonanza. I go back to like those cowboy movies, you know, the saloon singer. Or like Marilyn Monroe in that movie, Bus Stop, the saloon singer. He would say, make it like a saloon singer. So we made it, dum, ch, do-ga-da-ding, ching, dum, 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 ching, bing, brushes, ch, ba-bing, ch, boom-da-ding, ching, ding, 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 ching, ding. It's just so beautiful, you know, like a chandelier. It's the second time around for you and I, boy. Just so beautiful, you know, like that. You could just... So from that aspect, I really love that jam. Just Lonely Talking Again. A true Clive Davis pick. What Whitney song is my personal favorite? I love everything we've done by Whitney. I've done everything we've done by Whitney. All of it's my favorite. From the beginning of the How Will I Know to now our last big hit was Higher Love. And I gotta tell you that story because no one's gonna know it unless I tell you. On the third album where I was mentioning she was kind of depressed because of her heartbreak with Eddie and all that going on, I said, well, what do you think will make you happy? She goes, well, I love Shaka Khan. I love that song with Shaka Khan and Steve Winwood, Higher Love. I said, well, what about this idea? When I go back to San Francisco, why don't I cut that song for you and I'll put a gospel spin on it. I'll make it just for you. She goes, sure. So when I come back home to my studio, I get all my singers, everybody, to come in and lay down that kind of a gospel rendition of Higher Love. Bring me higher love. Everyone just rocking the jam. Just rocking it. I make it purposely 6 minutes long. I go to New York. I say, sit down. I hit play. She goes, whoa. She says, you did it. You cut it. And you put all those singers on it. I said, yep, it's for you. Just go and tear it up. And she did. She wanted to put her headphones on and she rocked Higher Love for 6 minutes straight. Over and over again to give me enough takes on it. And I just couldn't believe how much of her dazzling energy she was bringing to it. I mean, things I had never really heard her sing on the ending of that song. She was pulling out every little thing she could do. I almost look at like a jet plane has an extra gear. You know, it's flying, but it can go. She was doing that on that record. She would be flying, but it go. Those moments happen on the ending of Higher Love. And it came out on a B-side in Japan. Not many people really heard the song. But it stayed in my mind. It kind of stayed in our vaults. And to the point where after she passed away, I was speaking with the estate, Pat, who I have a very close relationship with, Donna, Gary. And I happened to mention them. You know, we could probably take a song that no one's ever really heard, where she's singing incredible, is Higher Love. And I said, why don't you let me guys do a remix of that and check it out for Sony and all you guys? He said, great idea. So I got all my cats again, made a new remix of it, made it sound now with her super vocal she gave us, and sent it into the company, and to the estate. And the company heard it, and you know what happened? They got excited. They got a remixer out of New York to do a version of it. Then they got the great remixer of Kygo to do a version of it. And then one Sunday morning, Clive Davis called me and said, "What's up with this Higher Love?" I go, "Well, yeah, I was just reinventing it for the estate and for everybody to kind of hear something we'd never heard of Whitney before." He goes, "Well, have you heard the Kygo version?" I said, "No." I said, "Have you heard my version?" He goes, "No." I said, "Why don't you listen to my version, and I'll listen to the Kygo version, and then we'll circle back." I heard the Kygo version. I was like, "Damn." Kygo version took what I'm bringing and put his little thing in there, which is hot. And Clive Davis called back and said, "You know what? Kygo's got an amazing following. If Kygo puts this out with what he's doing with what you gave him, it's going to go." I said, "I know. I heard it. It's incredible." So we put the Kygo version out, and there it went, man. Whitney's right back at #1 around the world with fresh love, a fresh sound, sing her best because that was one of her best recordings ever. So that's the truth of Higher Love. That record over there with Kygo, the Higher Love, #1 smash around the world now. And she exploded on it. Any sadness she may have had was gone. It just did the magic trick. Bam! There she was happy. Because as long as she's doing something that Shaka had done, oh, she loved Shaka. I saw the same thing when we were doing The Bodyguards, I'm a Woman. She's 7 months pregnant with Bobby in her belly. I cut the track here. I go to L.A. at Ocean Way to do her vocal because she's doing the Bodyguard movie and all that, finishing up. Here she comes with Bobby's 7 months, big old belly. And she's singing her heart out on I'm Every Woman. And she wanted to make sure that her harmonies are as genius as Shaka's. I go, "You sound fabulous." And now, who walks in and wants to sit down and watch the session is Natalie Cole, Nat King Cole's daughter. She's sitting there watching this go because it's like fire. I mean, Whitney is just blazing. And I'm excited because I know it's going to be another #1. She's bringing that kind of heat to it on a song we all love already. And it was. After that song, I Will Always Love You, that Foster did such a genius job with Clive and Whitney. But I'm a Woman was also #1. That was Whitney's idea. Because she loves Shaka. She loves it. "Am I singing as good as Shaka? Are you sure? Are you sure?" "Yeah, you sound brilliant." The hardest song that's most challenging to produce would be the Where to Break Hearts Go. Because I heard early on, maybe she wasn't really feeling the song on the demo. The early on demo. Maybe she wasn't really feeling it. So when I recut it, I purposely put in there what I knew she would like. I put a good dash of the Burt Bacharach, Dionne Warwick vibe in there. A good dash of what the street was about at that time. A good dash of some little soul church vibe a little bit. And I played it to her in the studio for the first time, what we had done to it, with a vocalist, so she could hear the whole song. She goes, "Okay, now I'm really understanding it better." But that wasn't the hard part. The hard part was to get her in the room here and get the mood just right, where she could feel like my heart's been broken on the second album, which hadn't happened yet. On the second album. If my heart's broken, how would I sing this? So that was the hardest thing. To get the right mood, the lighting so deeply blue, like no white lights that you have now, and just a little simple candle. And to sing it a few times to get into the sadness of it. The sadness is so deep on it. And to be able to sing with the sadness. That was the hardest thing for her. And it actually breaks my heart when I think about it because people are sad in the world, and she had to get that same degree of sadness to do that. And she did. She most certainly did. That's the most challenging. On the reverse spectrum, the highest I've ever seen her go, and the most zeal I've ever seen her give us was the track that Clive Davis asked me to cut called One Moment in Time, the Olympic theme song. And when we cut that, I purposely brought the Chariots of Fire feeling into it to inspire my friend Carl Lewis. to inspire all the Olympians at that time. The first thing we did was for Levee would be the easiest because she knew it. It was a childhood favorite by the Isley Brothers. You know, my mama played in the house. The whole neighborhood, it was the ghetto neighborhood jam for everybody around the world. So she knew it. She said, let's start with that one. I know it. And that was easy because she could just blow it out. But, like I said, we stacked so many harmonies, like, oh, I'm in heaven. She loved the sound of her voice on playback. I'm in heaven. So that would be the easiest one because she knew it. And she loved the sound of hearing all those voices swimming around with all the harmony, echoing and echoing and loving and loving and loving. And it gave her all the fuel and the spilling and everything else we were doing. Everything and anything. Producers today can learn everything and anything that they might need. From dynamics. Whitney could be as tender as a church mouse and as powerful as a roaring lion in the same sentence. Dynamics are essential. Great songs are essential. The funk, the grit of those tracks is essential. And the penthouse view is essential. So we can learn everything in music from that album, as far as I'm concerned. We can learn everything in music. My whole life is a culmination of what I've learned from Nina Simone and Horace Silver and Cannonball Adderley and Everly Brothers and Patti Page and Johnny Mathis. And beyond, we'll work with Burt Bacharach and Little Stevie Wonder and all the Motown music, and all the Chicago music with Curtis Mayfield, Gypsy Woman. All my life culmination is in that album of Whitney. What makes an album like Whitney timeless to me, again, it's a combination of beautiful song choice. It's a combination of beautiful choruses that we can all sing in our part of our fabric of our life. We take them to our heart. But truly on top of that is the cherry of Whitney, that she brings so much sweetness to what she sings. And not just sweetness, but you can listen to something over and over again and you still hear something new in it. For example, I'm driving this morning getting ready for my interview with you, and I asked Siri, hey Siri, play Whitney Houston. And on comes, come on, I Want to Dance When He Loves Me, right? Woo! And as she's singing the song, and I'm driving my car getting ready to do the interview, I'm noticing, and I've cut the record, I'm noticing little things in the vocal of how she's singing the second chorus different from the first chorus that are like, oh, that's different. That's new. We're still dissecting her brilliance and learning new things she brought to it every day. That's what I think is so phenomenal. Kind of like Stevie Wonder and the great ones like that. You can still listen to it. You're still hearing something new in there. With Whitney, it's very much that. She's so much soul, spirit, church, God, spirit, that it's moving. It's alive. And you're always witnessing something new about it. You're being fascinated by something sparkling and new about it. That's her genius. She plugged into the source of God. He comes straight through. So it's alive. It's alive.